Hello friends, in this video lecture we will see transport layer with its working and services. We know that transport layer is the fourth layer in OSI reference model. Because of its position, transport layer joins user support group and network support group. User support group comprises application layer, presentation layer and session layer. Network support group comprises network layer, data link layer and physical layer. Transport layer is responsible for process-to-process delivery of entire message. In upcoming videos, we will see how it performs process-to-process communication or process-to-process delivery. It ensures that whole message arrives intact and in proper order, overseeing both error control and flow control at the source to destination level. We will also see this mechanism of overseeing both error control and flow control at the source and at the destination level. Here you can see both the side associated with transport layer. We are having sender side and receiver side. At sender side, transport layer receives data from session layer, which is upper layer, by means of interlayer communication. Means in this case, transport layer uses the services provided by session layer, and after receiving message from the session layer, that message is divided into transmittable segments. After dividing message into transmittable segments, transport layer adds header H4 to each segment and sends those segments to network layer, which is lower layer. Means in this case, transport layer provides services to the network layer, which is lower layer, by means of interlayer communication. At receiver side, transport layer receives segment from the network layer by means of interlayer communication. Means in this case, transport layer, which is upper layer, uses the services provided by network layer, which is lower layer. And after receiving segments from the network layer, transport layer reassembles those segments in proper order and removes headers H4 from each segment which were added by the transport layer of the sender, and sends data to session layer, that is upper layer, by means of interlayer communication. Means in this case, transport layer provides services to the session layer, that is upper layer. Now let's see services provided by transport layer. First one is transport layer is responsible for process to process communication. Second one is service point addressing. Third one is segmentation and reassembly. Fourth one is connection control. Fifth one is flow control, and last one is the error control. Now let's see all these responsibilities or services provided by transport layer one by one. In this diagram, you can see we are having two systems, that is sender and the receiver, or you can say client program and the server program. In multitasking and multi-threading environment, we run number of programs simultaneously. Here in this diagram, you can say we are having P1, P2, P3 processes on one computer, and same programs are there on another computer. So process P2 on one computer is going to communicate with process P2 on another computer. So this type of communication is known as process to process communication. And communication between two computer or two hosts is known as host to host delivery, which is performed by network layer. We will see this host to host delivery in the video lecture of network layer. Then next one is the service point addressing. So service point addressing and process to process communication are interrelated with each other. So as we have seen that computers often run several programs at the same time, and for this reason source to destination delivery means not only from one computer to another computer, that is not only from sender to receiver or not only from client to server, but from specific process on one computer to a specific process on other computer. That is service point addressing. And to make this service point addressing happen, transport layer includes 16-bit service point address, which is also known as port address. Because of this port addresses, transport layer gets entire message to correct process on that computer. Here you can say that host A is having three processes like YouTube, Facebook and mail program, and host B is having same program, mail, Facebook and YouTube. So YouTube program on host A is going to communicate with YouTube program on host B. Because of specific port address of YouTube, this YouTube program on host A is going to communicate with YouTube program on host B. Facebook program on host A is going to communicate with Facebook program on host B because of port address of Facebook program, and mail program of host A is going to communicate with mail program of host B. Means this YouTube program, Facebook program and mail programs are having different port addresses. Means communication between specific process on host A with same process on host B is done with the help of service point addresses. Next is segmentation and reassembly. Here we have seen that transport layer receives data from the session layer at sender side. A data or the message which is received from session layer is divided into transmittable segments with each segment containing sequence number. Here in this diagram you can see that message is divided into three segments. We can call this as a segment 1, segment 2 and segment 3, and these segment numbers enable the transport layer to reassemble the message correctly upon arriving at the destination and to identify and replace packets that were lost in the transmission. Means at receiver end, transport layer will reassemble the different segments with the help of these segment numbers. The next one is the connection control. Here transport layer can be either connectionless or connection oriented. A connectionless transport layer treats each segment as an independent packet and delivers it to the transport layer at the destination. And connection oriented transport layer makes the connection with transport layer at the destination machine first before delivering the actual packets. And after delivering the packet, that is after transferring all data, connection is terminated. Means in case of connection oriented transport layer, data transmission is made with the help of three phases: connection establishment, data transfer, and connection termination. Next one is the flow control. Flow control is basically a mechanism in which the rate of sending data should be lesser than or equals to the rate of receiving data, or we can say the rate at which data is produced there at the sender side should be less than the rate of receiving data at the receiver end. And if the rate at which data are absorbed by the receiver is less than the rate at which data are produced in the sender, then transport layer implements flow control mechanism. And this flow control mechanism at this transport layer is performed end to end rather than across single link. Next one is error control. Error control is performed process to process rather than across single link. In specific process on sender side to specific process on receiver side rather than host to host. Here in this case, sending transport layer makes sure that entire message arrives at the receiving transport layer without any error, means without any damage, without any loss, or without any duplication. So error control is usually achieved through retransmission of those messages which were lost or which were damaged. So we stop here. In next video lecture we will see network layer, its working and services. Thank you for watching.